So we've been experiencing what's called an atmospheric river here in Portland. It's just been pouring. I mean, like Midwest summer rain, just absolutely dumping. And it is just starting to lighten up, and I'm going to go for my walk. But before I do that, I wanted to share with you a conversation I had with my eldest kid today. So first off, she's in her early 20s. She is a fish and wildlife major, and she is watching her career path basically be obliterated by this regime. But she and I were talking about the fact that I've seen a number of videos in the last 24 hours of folks who are finding out that their favorite mommy blogger slash, mommy influencer is actually like super hardcore pro-Trump MAGA. How that just didn't occur to them for some reason. And I was saying to Ruth, I don't understand how you could see somebody who exploits their little children for content on the internet and think that they were a good person or think that they were going to be doing anything other than supporting Trump. And she was saying, she's far, far wittier than I am, that like, how could anybody think that someone who is making their small child drink raw milk on camera to prove how crunchy they are, or who makes a point of giving their kid Manuka honey when they should be on antibiotics, how could you think that those people using their children for content and arguably abusing their children for content, how could you think that they weren't going to fall in line with MAGA politics? And I don't follow any of these accounts. I actually make a point of blocking creators who use their children for content, their minor children. And the reason I think this is coming to the forefront is because California enacted this new law about how you have to put a significant portion of your children's income into a trust for them if you are using them for content for your brand. And so we're seeing all of these maggots who are perfectly happy to exploit their own children, who see their children as less than fully human. They see their children as their property, their possession, their means to make money. We're seeing them flee California and going places like Tennessee and Texas. Right, and I have said this since right after the election. If your favorite influencer is not speaking out about what is happening, if they are making their regular content and acting like everything is hunky-dory, all sunshine and roses, then you know how they voted. But a lot of these influencers, both here and on Instagram, I think people don't bother to go look and see who those creators are following and what's in their reshares here on TikTok. Because I guess there's this account that has like 5 million followers. Again, I don't follow any of these women. I don't know who they are, but I've seen a number of folks lamenting that this account that they followed, who, when I clicked on her profile, immediately uses her children for content, I immediately blocked her. That people are finding out her reshares are all like pro JD Vance, pro Trump content. And she is vigorously defending and kind of like fangirling over JD Vance in the comments of her own video. Like, who else did you think these people are? The Yahtzees are incredibly good at dehumanizing children, not only dehumanizing children of their opposition, right? Like oppressors throughout history have loved to see children as an object and a means to an end to control the adults on the other side, to oppress and manipulate folks, but also seen their own children as little vessels that they can indoctrinate to become effective little soldiers for their ideology. I mean, you could arguably say that about all of Christianity, but that's a whole other topic, right? Like the mustache man Jugend. How can we indoctrinate these children and use them for our own ends? Not seeing these as actual people, but rather seeing them as tools that we can manipulate, coerce, and craft into upholders of our regime, of our horrible, god-awful ideology. It's not hard to understand how moms who use their kids for content would end up being MAGA. Because what these women care about is their own wealth and comfort and prosperity, and they will throw vulnerable people under the bus in order to get it. They will throw their own children. They will sacrifice their own children's childhood in order to increase their own wealth and comfort. Ruth was saying, well, it's not just like TikTok and Instagram influencers. We should be taking the time right now to kind of vet the artists and celebrities and creators that we have been following or we've been interested in. And Ruth was saying, well, it's not just these influencers that we need to kind of reevaluate. She was saying it's every artist and celebrity and creator that you follow. You might take a second and double check who it is that they support. Look at who they're following on social media. Look at who their reshares are. It's not that difficult. Again, if all they've done is happy-go-lucky, life is wonderful, everything is so prosperous kind of content since the election, it's pretty clear where they stand. As long as we're talking about things like the economic boycotts and how effective we can be as everyday Americans in the hundreds of millions when we withhold our pennies from the economy, and how that is the greatest tool that we have against the billionaires, against the technocrats, against the fascists, It's really an easy ask for all of us to take a second and check out the folks that we're following and figure out where they align politically. Their follower counts, our views, our likes, our clicks are how they earn money. So in that respect, withholding our attention, withholding our follows and our likes, that is withholding our pennies and having a significant economic impact, especially when we look at the cumulative effect of hundreds, thousands, millions of us doing that. I don't want my views to be converted into income that someone will then turn around and give to fascism, give directly toward oppressing my community. I don't want my views to lend financial support to someone who is in favor of dismantling democracy and is delighting at the policies that this regime is rolling out that cause immense and lasting suffering. Ruth's a little bit of a metalhead, and lately she's really been into black metal. And she said, I had to go through all of these bands and look at who they support. And I've been so disappointed to find out that like every single one of them are Yahtzees. Except for like one band. She was saying it's easier to find an emo band that doesn't like touching kids than it is to find a black metal band that is not full of Yahtzees. And she was saying, well, you know what? It's a little bit of a sacrifice for me to give up the music that I like to listen to when I'm painting. But you know what? That's a very, very small ask in the scheme of things to not give my clicks, my views, my attention, my pennies to literal Yahtzees. And the current climate that we're in has emboldened people to show you what was always there under the surface. They just were a little bit on the down low about it because they didn't want it to impact their bottom line. They didn't want to lose your financial support. But we're seeing overt racism, hatred, eugenics normalized in American society. And so folks are emboldened to be out and proud. I made that video a couple weeks ago to Jewel Kilcher. You know, the artist who sang, our hands are small, nice weapons of conscience if they're not idle with despair. We gather ourselves around a faithful light as the darkness most feared. Oh, the artist who said, you won't use my hands to fight your wars, to close your eyes, to cripple your doors. That artist who voted for Trump and went down the Maha alt-right pipeline was emboldened enough to sing for free at RFK Jr.'s Trump inauguration party. So these people are outing themselves, and we have a tremendous opportunity here. This economy, not only is our money, our data is money, but our views and interaction are money. We're looking at starting a nationwide economic boycott on February 28th. Blackout day where we don't buy anything, and then we see how long we can keep that going. We see what are all of the ways. I'm going to evaluate all of the ways that I can withhold my financial support from the economy in order to cripple fascism, in order to cripple the billionaires, the technocrats. Please be aware that it's not just I'm not going to order anything, I'm not going to shop on this day. It's also how can I lock down and secure my data so that these companies can't sell it and use it. And it's also how do I withdraw my follow, my click, my interaction from celebrities, from artists, from creators that are putting themselves on the wrong side of history and aligning themselves with fascism at this point in time. I promise you, you won't miss these folks. There will be a space now for you to discover someone new, some new artist, some new influencer, some new thinker, some new creator. This is an opportunity to discover new folks, creative voices who share your values, instead of actively working against them. I really encourage you to see this as an opportunity and not a deprivation, and get to work blocking these folks. And that will give yourself space to discover all kinds of new folks who are actively working for human rights, are actively working to protect the most vulnerable, are actively working to protect the planet, who care about community, share your values, and are eager to be involved in the same good work that you want to be part of.